So today we got a good one here for you guys. I know you guys love decimals, you love fractions, so let's take a look at this. We got equations with variables on both sides, which is exactly like the past section, except this time we get to deal with decimals and we get to deal with fractions. So let's look at the first example. The first two are actually decimals. I'm just going to do one of these. I'll do two with the fractions because I know we all hate fractions. So I'm going to do two with the decimals because it's really easy, because guess what? We're going to bring in Desmos. It's going to make life way easier for us. So check this out. We're going to have 4a plus 5 equals 2 plus 3.25a. So same idea. Our goal is to get the variable by itself. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and move this one over to the left side. So I'm going to subtract it over to the left side. Honestly, I could do this one in my head, but just to show you guys, over here we'll have 4 minus 3.25. And I'm not too good with mental math, but I know that one's going to be 0.75. Hopefully you guys do too. It's just like dealing with money. Okay, now remember, we're trying to get a by itself. So my next move is I'm going to move this over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract the 5. Now you notice I have, like, here's the equation here, then I show my work, and then another equation, then my work. Please list each one step by step. That's most of the time when people make mistakes with equations. They're trying to do too many steps at one time, and that's where things go wrong. So that gets rid of the 5 on the left side, so about 0.75a equals negative 3. If I could even write it. There we go. So last step, we're going to go ahead and divide the 0.75. And a equals 3 divided by 0.75. Negative 3 divided by 0.75 actually, so it's going to be a negative answer. So it's going to be negative 4. Now if you want to, you could do negative 3, or I'll just do 3 divided by 0.75, move the decimal, all that stuff. But honestly, we have the calculator, just use it. Okay, now let's do a fraction. So the other one, you guys can handle that. We're just going to move it over and all that stuff. So let's look at this one. So fractions, we can go ahead and mess with fractions the whole time, get common denominators, all that, or we can just get rid of the fractions, which would be the easier way. So let me show you how to do that. And I looked at all the problems in the Khan assignment, and this will work for them. My B's are looking like 6s. Okay, so I'm going to look at the denominator. You know, if you think about this, it's just currently 1 on those. But for the 5s, you want to see what's going to be the least common multiple of these two. And so in this case, they're both 5. So we're going to multiply everything by 5. So I'm going to multiply this by 5, and this by 5, and this by 5, and this by 5. Everything gets multiplied by 5. What you do to one side, you got to do to the other. I'm multiplying the entire side by 5. So 5 times 7 is 35b. Minus, and the whole purpose of this, the 5 times 2 is 10 over 5. It's just going to be 2. Basically, the 5s cancel out, and it just leaves us with the 2. Really need to work on my 2's. And then 6 times 5 is 30. Notice there's nothing in the denominator there. And then 5 times 7 is 35 divided by 5 is just 7 again. Once again, notice that it's really just the 5's canceling out is what's going on there. So that's just going to be minus 7. So now we don't have to deal with the fractions anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and solve it like we did before. Minus 30b should have a Google form to ask you guys to take a vote on which one you think was easier, the decimals with fractions. I mean, after that, it looks like the fractions are actually easier than the decimals. So this gives me 5b equals negative 5, and then divide by 5, and b equals negative 1. Let's look at this other side. So let me just get rid of the fractions, and then from there you can work out the rest of it. So 16 minus 2t equals 3 over 2t plus 9. So here I'm looking at all the fractions. There's just one fraction. Denominator is 2. So let's multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to multiply this by 2, this by 2, this by 2, which just cancels the denominator, and that by 2. So we'll have 32 minus 4t equals 3t. Remember, it just cancels out the denominator, plus 18. From there, you can go ahead and solve it. Subtract the 3t, move everything else over, divide, and you're done. So you have it. It's variables on both sides, but with decimals and fractions. Notice the decimals and fractions, it's not that intimidating. It's not that bad. You guys can handle it.